brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Oh yes, it's sippin' time again. Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1-hour show that's mildly entertaining for about 22 and a half minutes.
When we stretch.
You know, on a good day. We're banned in, half the countries of the UN and most of the former Soviet bloc. 3 or 4 states, 2 counties.
By the way, roll tide.
We're not allowed in many county parks at this point, and the dog won't even talk to us. This is Made Man Bob. Joining me today are Made Man Brent.
It's definitely a pleasure to be here tonight.
Good old boy Harmeet.
Howdy.
And Made Man Maury.
I'm just here for the booze.
Yeah, well, then nothing much has changed. Brent, Maury, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia. The Bourbon Mafia is a non-profit organization composed of high-end bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 7 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our Native American spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. Our show is sponsored in part by the Bourbon Review, a quarterly magazine and online source for all things bourbon. You can find them on Facebook or at their website at www.gobourbon.com.
Go Bourbon!
And also at Fine Spirits in Cooper City, Florida, home of the
Enomatic Machines.
Enomatic Machines.
Go Fine Spirits!
Serving great wines and whiskeys and other spirits by the glass. You can find them at www.finespirits.net. Our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and today's show is a Distiller's Takeover show featuring products from the 1792 Distillery. We'll cover some background on the distillery as well as on the individual products we'll be tasting. Our samples today were graciously provided to us by Amy Presky from Sazerac Company. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Amy, you're the best. Go, Amy.
And here's a short list of what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be tasting.
Can I just say, Maury sounded like a perv just now when he said go Amy. I mean, yeah, totally, you perved out, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you'd been drinking for as long as I've been drinking, waiting for Bob,
that might be it.
That's all right.
All right, here's what we're tasting today. We're going to be tasting the 1792 Small Batch, the 1792 Sweet Wheat, the 1792 Single Barrel, the 1792 Port Finish, and the 1792 Full Proof.
I detect a theme.
And we're going to ask Brent to give us a little story on the history of the Old Barton 1792 distillery.
Thank you. The history of the distillery can be traced back to John Greaves Mattingly, whose roots go back to 1845 with the J.G. Mattingly and Sons Distillery in Louisville. His grandson, Benjamin F. Mattingly, married Catherine Willett of the Willett family, who owned and operated a distillery at Morton Springs, just south of Bardstown. Sometime after Benjamin started working at the family distillery, another distiller by the name of Thomas S. Moore married into the Willett family. In 1876, the 2 men took over the distillery from their father-in-law, and they changed the name to Mattingly and Moore, where they made Mattingly and Moore Bourbon, Belle of Nelson's Morton Springs Rye. The distillery was sold in 1881 to a group of investors, but Tom Moore continued to work at the distillery until 1899 when he built his own distillery next door. Tom began producing his own brands, Tom Moore, Daniel Boone, and Silas Jones Whiskey. In 1916, Mattingly and Moore went bankrupt, and the distillery was subsequently acquired by Tom Moore and the property combined with his own distillery. Thomas S. Moore ran the distillery until operations ceased due to Prohibition. In 1934, the distillery was reopened by his son, Con Moore. It was subsequently sold in 1944 to Chicago businessman and liquor dealer Oscar Getz. Under his ownership, the name of the distillery was changed to the Barton Distillery, and they produced the Tom Moore and Kentucky Gentleman brands. This was later consolidated into the Barton Brands Company. Barton Brands then acquired the Glenmore Distillery in Owensboro, Kentucky, along with its brands, distillery, and bottling facility. After shutting down the distillery at Glenmore, they began making Glenmore's Kentucky Tavern brand at the Barton Distillery. In the early 1980s, they also acquired several brands from Hiram Walker companies such as 10 High, Walker's Reserve, and Imperial, and began making them at the Barton Distillery. Oscar Getz was fascinated by the history of distilling in Kentucky, and such as he created the company museum to house his extensive collection of distilling memorabilia. Upon his death in 1983, his widow donated the collection to the city of Bardstown, which moved the collection of Spalding Hall in downtown Bardstown to create the Oscar Getz Museum of Whiskey History. I've never been there yet, but
you need to definitely go.
No, I know. As many times as I've been to Bardstown, I really need to get into there.
Why not?
Yeah. In 2002, the company released 1792 Ridgemont Reserve, their first super premium brand. And in 2008, the name of the distillery was changed back to the Tom Moore Distillery. And in 2009, the Sazerac Company, owners of the Buffalo Trace Distillery, purchased Barton Brands, including their brand catalog, the distillery, and the bottling facility in Owensboro. Sazerac subsequently changed the name of the distillery back to the Barton Distillery, and then again to the 1792 Distillery.
There's a story there with the Ridgemont Reserve, isn't there?
That I'm not sure who's more familiar with the Ridgemont Reserve story.
Well, when it originally was released, it was Ridgewood Reserve, but I believe that there was a conflict with the folks over at Woodford, and they subsequently changed the name. There's some bottles floating around out there with the original name on it that are supposedly collectible. I don't collect bottles, I drink them. So.
Yeah, it's the same juice.
Yeah.
But Ridgewood Reserve became Ridgemont Reserve, which is how I first saw the product. Now that's completely gone too now, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, and they changed it to 1792.
Yeah. Now, according to the producers, the 1792 name is a bridge from America's rustic past to a new future. I guess you could call it a highbrow sophistication kind of name. And,
what's 1792 again? What was that?
That's the year that Kentucky was admitted as a state to the United States. I think it was June 1st, 1792.
Celebrate that, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. The facility covers 196 acres and includes 28 traditional rickhouses, which hold 19,600 barrels each, and a pallet-style warehouse holds 76,000 barrels. They have 13 mash tanks totaling 650,000 gallons of fermenting mash. So there you go. There's a little bit of history of the current info of the 1790 distillery, and now we're going to have Harmeet tell you a little bit about our SIPS rating.
Okay, kids. If you've been a listener to the show, you probably know this already. We give ratings as a number of sips. Bob, you got the good old sound effects ready? Let's do this thing. Well, 1 sip. Give me a glass of water and wash out my mouth.
Gangadin, water. Gangadin, bring water. Bring water.
2 sips. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. That's interesting. What was that again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another, man.
That's classified.
5 sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness.
Again, the sound Harmeet has never heard. All right, thanks for your overly dramatic reading. Let's get right into it. Maury's going to introduce our first product today. Go ahead, Maury.
All right, thank you, Bob. Our first product is the original namesake offering from the 1792 distillery called the Small Batch.
He's had a few drinks.
I'll have what she's having.
Clocking in at 46.85% ABV, it won a 2016 gold medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. The color is a dark golden caramel. On the nose, I get vanilla, notes of honey, citrus, and baking spice. It has some nice wood undertones.
That's a lot of wood, actually.
On the palate, it's quite tannic and fairly peppery, with a heavily wooded flavor profile. A hint of maple is noticeable, but more than anything, what stands out is the dry, tongue-coating mouthfeel. The finish is dry oak and vanilla with a medium length. I really thought that this is a modest entry, and it's just that. It's an entry level. I think it's pleasant. I think it's drinkable, but I'd give it a 2-sip rating. What else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
What do you guys think?
Well, you know what? I get a little bit of coffee with that, and at the end I get a little bit of a fig boldness of the rye. But
Yeah, I can definitely pick up on the fruitiness on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your rating?
My rating, I'm going to give this a solid 2, though.
Okay.
I'd almost like to give it a 3.
Well, isn't
but-
that nice?
Harm, you got anything?
The oak was a little bit overpowering for me. A lot of clove, a lot of cinnamon. Water helped it a bit. I gave it a 3, actually, with the water.
Interesting.
And I gotta agree. I gave it a 3 as well. It's a good, solid whiskey. So we'll be back to discuss some more.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet.
All right, we're back with our episode on the 1792 Distillery. Our next product is the 1792 Sweet Wheat, and we're going to have Harmeet tell us his thoughts on it. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Bob. The 1792 Sweet Wheat is a lie. It's not sweet. It's not sweet, guys.
Just a name.
It's just a name. It's marketing.
It's a wheated whiskey, but it's not sweet.
It's a wheater. That's where we did a wheater show, I think, on this one too, didn't we?
Yeah.
45.6% ABV, 2016 World Whiskies Award silver medal winner. So, the standard 1792 we were talking about earlier is a high rye bourbon. Was it 15%? Do you know? Anybody know the percentage on that? It's like 10 to 15%. It's a high rye. This one is different. Rather than using rye as a second grain, we're using wheat. So hence, it's a wheat whiskey or a wheater, or as they call it, a sweet wheat. So I went into this one. I haven't tasted it in a long time. When it first came out, I did, and so I was expecting sweet, and I was fooled. But I did get a nice floral note when I first poured it in the glass. Beautiful color. Tropical fruits. I got some apple and peach on it, but peach really stuck out for me. And the palate, they say they get coconut and cinnamon. I didn't get that. To me, the coconut didn't come out. It was more vanilla and the gingerbread. The oak is a little bit lighter than on the first one, and the finish was warm, and I gave it a 3.
All right.
Interesting.
Maury, what'd you think?
Well, I liked it much better than the first offering. I thought that it was soft. I thought it was sweet. Not overly sweet, but certainly had a sweet note. And it It was balanced.
It's all in your head, man, because they said sweet on the bottle.
It's deceptive.
No, but I thought it was balanced. I thought it had, it did have nuts of fruit. It was not overly wooded like the first one. And I agree, the finish was warm and lingering. So I'd give it a solid 3 sips.
Interesting.
Brent?
That sweet word really threw me off as well, because you're expecting, when someone says sweet, you just don't think of sweet wheat. You're getting wheat, but you just think in your mind you're thinking sweet, and you don't get that.
I mean, thinking of wheated whiskeys, I can't really think of a wheated bourbon I've ever had that I would call sweet. So
No,
I didn't expect it to be sweet.
No, I mean, but I think in your brain just says something sweet, and you just kind of expect that in your brain.
I've gotten more caramel and honeyed creme brulee notes with high wheats, but you know what?
I can get you some Splenda if you want.
Yeah, that's what. But I mean, on the nose, it was nice. I got like a buttered toast and honey, kind of scent on the nose, but in the with the palate, besides the fruit and in the pepper that I get a little bit of pepper, but I get a little bit of tobacco taste, and for the finish, I kind of with most of these, I kind of get like a sawdust finish. Is that what the best way to describe it? Dry, yeah.
It's a tannic finish. Because you're talking about, thank you, I'm going to have to try the sweet wheat again.
Yeah, but but it was very good. It was still, with everything that was there, the first time I tried it, I wasn't impressed with it, and then I let it sit for a little while. I came back to it again, and I very much enjoyed it. Now I'm going to give this a very solid 3.
That's because you drank quite a bit before you came back to it.
Well, this is one that I think actually benefits with a little air. If you pour it in a glass, give it walk away, come back in about 5 or 10 minutes. It really opens up for me. I definitely get some coconut. I get some vanilla, a little bit of gingerbread. I think it was a great offering. I gave it a solid 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let this sit on the table in front of the mic for me, because like you guys say, give it some time, right? I'll come back to it.
A glass of whiskey has never sat on a table in front of you. Who are you kidding? All right.
Salivating. Sorry, I'm just looking.
We're going to ask Brent to introduce the next one, which is the 1792 single barrel. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we have the single barrel, and it's 49.3
percent alcohol.
Yeah, percent alcohol. The one thing, the bourbon that they have for the single barrel was all distilled and aged right there at the distillery in Bardstown, and so the 98.6 was the release that they had for it, for the proof. Every one of these bottles is, it's, if you look at the bottles, it's a nice bottle. It looks like kind of like an Art Deco bottle. So it's very nice. But the color of it, when you look at it, it's got a nice gold color to it, nice gold and copper color. It's almost like a used leather. On the nose, I get a little bit of lemon, apples, butterscotch, and just a hint of ginger. Then on the palate, I get some caramel and butterscotch, and get a little bit of heat of the rye. And I still get the lemon, but it's kind of a sharp bite for the finish. So it's good. I like this one. But it's a solid 3 for me.
All right.
Interesting.
For me, this one, I definitely get the caramel. I got a very faint but very distinct banana in this.
Wow, we didn't talk about our reviews, but that's exactly what I hit too, Bob.
I got tropical fruit and I got banana, and it's definitely present. I can barely taste it in the standard offering, but in the single barrel, the higher proof ones, it really seems to come through. A little bit of cinnamon spice on the end. I'm glad they're doing a single barrel one. I'm sure, it's a pain to do a single barrel bottling because you can't run it on a main line. You've got to do that on a small line that allows you to hand barrel and hand bottle these things.
Do they have any information on the barrel of these?
No, they don't have. They don't put on the Rick or where it was or anything like that. But I give this a solid 3.
Interesting.
What'd you think, Hart?
I was surprised at this because it did taste different to me than the others. I know it's a single barrel, but it really stuck out to me. That tropical fruit note was more pronounced. The banana was a huge thing on the nose for me. The spice was a little more muted than on the previous ones, and I just thought it tasted great at that proof, too. That higher proof I really appreciated. I gave it a 3.
Yeah, you like it, I can tell. You're drinking it fast.
Yeah. All right. I gave it a 3. It was nice. But it could be a 4. But I take issue with them not giving us the more information on the barrel. It's like, say I go to one store and buy it, and I go to buy another single barrel. I can't tell it's going to be the same barrel. You know?
Well, it's not going to be a single barrel. It's a single barrel.
Sometimes you get multiple. I've been to stores where they have multiple barrels. And so you know that, I liked this barrel, so you'll hunt that barrel.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with Harm. I think when you're buying a single barrel product, you know that every barrel is going to be different, and when you find one you really like, it's nice to be able to go back to it. And this doesn't really afford you that opportunity.
Yeah.
What did you think about the whiskey, though?
Well, to date, of the several we've tasted, it was my favorite so far. I thought it was really nice. I would agree with you that the tropical notes, particularly the banana, comes out quite a bit, especially when you add a little bit of water. The water really opened it up, really brought out a lot of the tropical notes as well as the banana. I thought it was pleasant. I thought it was really balanced. I thought it was very nice. I appreciated the higher proof. And as I said, it had a wonderful mouthfeel and really was just an excellent go-to everyday bourbon. So I give it a solid 3 sips, bordering on 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would have liked this if it had a little bit less bite on the end of it. And then it would.
See, I didn't get the bite on the end.
I do a drop of water. Drop of water.
Yeah, but I mean, without the drop of water, you still had that little bite to it, and I would have liked it.
I didn't really see that. I don't.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but you know what? Nothing we say matters for this one because all of our listeners are going to be out in different parts of the country, or actually, how many countries are we in? I don't remember. We're in several countries, so for all of you looking for a single barrel, you're not going to find this one.
We're the number one broadcast in Kazakhstan. So
you'll never find the barrel we got, and if you do, you won't know if you did.
All right, we'll have Maury introduce our next product, the 1792 Port Finish.
Okay, thank you, Bob. The next expression is, again, from the folks at 1792, and it is the port finish, as you mentioned. It clocks in at 44.5% ABV. It won a double gold in the 2016 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. That means it was a unanimous vote, for those of you unaware. It spent 2 additional years in port barrels finishing. It's got a beautiful color. I must admit the color on all the 1792s is fairly comparable. There's really none that stands out as particularly more or less colorful. On the nose, you get apples, pears, nuts, and oak. There's a little bit of cinnamon and some baking spice, and a faint hint of fresh wood. You really don't get a lot of imminent flavors of port on the nose. On the palate, it's got a nice mouthfeel. It's got some sweet port notes, a little bit of apple and brown sugar and ripe berries. The finish is more of a burnt caramel and jammy fruit, and it lingers on and on. As far as my thoughts on this compared to the other offerings, I was really hopeful that this would be wonderful. I do love some port finished bourbons quite a lot. I think in comparison to some of the other port finished products, this one falls a little bit short. I think especially on the heels of the single barrel, it also falls a little bit short. I think it's a nice bourbon, but I'd give it a solid 2-sip rating.
Wow.
Well, isn't that nice?
Let me offer you one tip on this one, because the first time I tried this, I opened it up and I've had plenty of port finish whiskeys, bourbons, and scotches, and the nose is very muted on the port, and the port influence is in your face. An Angel's Envy, it's in your face. It's on top
that's no guessing.
Which is great. I mean, it's just a different style.
Yeah.
But on this one, absolutely take this. Just give it a few drops of water.
Yeah, use
and you will be amazed at how much of the port comes forward once you put a little water in.
Yeah, hold on. I love
right. Hold on.
Bob handed him the little water.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
But the bottle stayed in front of Bob the entire time.
Man, it's mine.
I fail to see a problem with that.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. But once you put just a few drops of water in this, I mean, and it's not going to be a jump in your face and blow your head off port. But you put a few drops of water in it, and the port really definitely comes out a lot more than it does with no water. So,
Okay, well, fair enough.
Give that one a try. For me, again, it's a different style than other ported whiskeys. It's not as port heavy.
It's got to be the barrel because it's been 2 years.
You know,
right?
and it's a barrel thing too. But it's they're going for a different style. It's some are going for a lot more port, some are going for a lesser port, and whiskey companies all over the world that are doing barrel finishes that are going either or. This one I think is leaning more towards that, and the more heavy port finishes do seem to lose some people because hey, I want whiskey, I don't want jammy raisins. For me, I think it's a great whiskey. It's got a great mouthfeel. The port opens up with water. I get apples. I get berries. I give it a good solid 3.
Interesting.
What do you think, Brent?
Well, for me, port and bourbon just pair very well together. So
really, have you had a ported bourbon before? Really?
So
I've never known you to like ported bourbon.
Yeah, so I actually do like it. But it's a 6-year.
This is Wes Henderson's adopted son. So
it's a 6-year bourbon, and then it's 2 years in the port, and so I enjoy that. But it's it's got the classic of the vanilla and the caramel, and I get some cherries. And what I do is I get a bit of French toast. I get that cinnamon. It's just like a French toast. It's a French toast taste. That's what I get. It's got a nice lengthy finish. It's a nice pleasant pour. If I were to compare it, I want to say that it's like a Manhattan on your way towards a Manhattan without having a Manhattan. It's kind of how I have it, and I don't like mixed drinks that much.
Great!
So.
Now we've been kicked out of New York. Thank you,
Brent.
We've
been kidding.
Awesome! Yay!
On the road to Manhattan.
Awesome. One more place we're banned.
Right, but
damn, Manhattan was nice last time I was there.
It was good. Well. It was, but I give it a solid 3. Right. Very solid 3.
Well, I think it's my turn, gents, and I think you guys all underscored here. I think this, just as I was disappointed with the sweet wheat not being sweet enough, I'm looking for that sweetness. I love my bourbon with a port finish.
Yeah.
I
do too. I think they pair well.
Yeah. This is, and as both of Maury and Brent suggested, this is not that high port like the Angel's Envy, and it's not like we did a single malt whiskey dinner for National Scotch Day recently, and
it's not like a ported single malt.
Quinta Ruban from Glenmorangie, which is that's huge.
Yeah, it's like jam.
Yeah, right. This is not there.
Yeah, this is subtle, and I appreciate the heck out of that.
I appreciated that too, and I thought a little cold water brought out the raisins, but at first it was apple and pear. The spice is there. The port is it's surprising to me that it spent 2 years in port barrels and it didn't pick up more port. So I'm wondering what kind of barrels they use.
I think that the port influence for the amount of time spent was
it's
nominal.
Who knows what kind of barrels they're sourcing? Or it's all it's their style, their house style. And regardless of that, I love the finish. The fruit was there. It was not over the top like some other port finished whiskeys, but I enjoyed the elegance of this whiskey. So I gave it a solid 4 sips, kids.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I'm bordering between 3 and 4, but you can't get 3 1/4. You've got to go 3. You got to go 4. So
I got you.
Yep, I had the same thing. I was very solid on my 3. It was
this one. I hope this becomes at least a semi-permanent returning.
Oh, very much so, because
part of the lineup.
The cost is very reasonable. I mean, it's for something that's spent 2 years in a port barrel, the cost is still under $50, and that's it's affordable for everybody.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing.
You have a different appreciation of who everyone is. There are people who drink Old Crow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so this is not it.
Yeah, but Old Crow isn't finished in a port barrel.
Yeah, if it was, it might be a little bit more tasty. It might be finished in a jar of Kool-Aid for all we know. All right. Well, we're going to go on to our last product, which is the 1792 Full Proof. This is bottled at 62.5 ABV. It's bottled at the same proof that it actually went into the barrel. It is not barrel proof. In other words, coming out, what it came out at the barrel at. They take it down to the proof that they entered in at the barrel, which I think is brilliant because that also allows them to have a release hopefully in the near future and do single barrel proof, which would be one more that I could add to the collection. New oak barrels were filled at 125 proof in the fall of 2007. They were left to age in warehouses E, N, and I for 8.5 years. Warehouse I is one of the oldest at the Barton 1792 distillery. All the warehouses are 7 stories high, metal-clad, concrete bottom floors, and windows all around the outside, allowing some direct sunlight inside. And the bourbon was not chill filtered.
As you can hear, we're retasting.
This one is absolutely my favorite of the 5.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
I always tend to go toward the higher proof. Anyway, I'd rather have something that's
lush.
I'd rather have something that comes in at higher proof and allows me to add water to it to bring it down to my palate. Plus, I enjoy the higher proof because it's more what it came out the barrel at. It's more what God intended it to be when it came forward.
You're talking about barrel proof again. This is a different thing. It's not barrel proof.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying I think full proof is
closer to it.
I think full proof was a brilliant maneuver because I'm on bended knee and hoping that they come out with a single barrel proof because I'll be the first one in line for it.
And I agree. This is their closest thing they have to date to a barrel-proof product. And again, barrel-proof is the ultimate.
And a lot of stuff that a lot of producers are putting stuff out. Honestly, they're taking it down to low proof.
Is anyone else doing it like this? We put it at 125.
Honestly, this is the only one I'm aware of that actually is doing that. I mean, there are people doing barrel proof, and there are people doing it, 80, 90, doing a bottled and bond, but taking it back to original entry proof. I think they're the only ones out there that are doing it. At least the only ones I'm aware of. So,
which is clever.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're doing a good job. We'll come back and we'll go over our tasting notes.
But baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue, as slow as a willow blows, or as fast as the world wind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
And we're back. We're discussing the 1792 distillery, and we're going over our tasting notes for the 1792 full proof.
But not foolproof. If you're a fool, you can still hurt yourself.
Well, the world's full of them. Go to Washington. You can't throw a rock without hitting one of those.
Follow me around.
I'm definitely picking up on this. Notes of cherry and vanilla, little cocoa.
That cocoa really stuck out for me.
Yeah, the cocoa is big. It's very, very big. The proof on this is, you taste it, but it's not burning your nose, not burning your eyes. It's up there, but it's not overpowering. At least I don't think it is. But then again, as you said, I'm a lush. Cinnamon, baking spices.
I whispered it. It doesn't mean like I said it to your face.
Well, no, you're facing the other way when you said it. It's got a beautiful finish to it. It's got a nice burn to it, but not overpowering. It's not going down and taking the skin out of your throat. Because again, 125 is high, but 125 for some whiskeys is high, and some whiskeys it's not. This one is one of those it's not. This one overall, it's hitting all the notes for me. Again, this is another one I hope that they keep putting out, and this one it's not like they're sourcing port barrels. It's not like they have to, do up another batch of wheat, whiskey. They're starting out with base product, and they're putting it back in at 125. So, I hope they're listening to me. Amy, I hope you're listening to us. Please make this one a regular on the line, because I'd buy this on a regular basis. I give this a solid
stock?
4.
Yeah, 4 is definitely. Do they have enough stock? This was bottled in 2000. I mean, this was barreled in 2007. They pulled it out.
Well,
this
one
year, right?
was. I don't. It's the original 1792 used to, when everybody had unlimited supplies, years ago, and everyone had age statements on everything. This was originally an 8-year product, all of just the regular 1792. So. Hopefully they've got enough in the rick houses there. I mean, they got quite a few. If you go to the distillery, you really only see the one right there by the parking lot, but over the hill is where everything else is at.
Good stuff.
Yes, I mean they it's a pretty big operation, and I got to say it's one of my favorite distilleries to visit. The first time I went there was years ago when they first. I think it was that first. I think they just started really doing tours, but they're not on the trail, and they're sort of off to the side of Bardstown, so they're not down near Heaven Hill and Willett and all of that. So I think it was sort of the distillery that the real geeks went to. The tourists kind of missed, and I always loved going here because the people at the gift shop were so nice. They would take you around, show you everything. It just sort of had more of a family feel than some of the big industrial places. So they've always had a soft spot in my heart. It's one of my favorite places to go. Harm, what'd you think?
Well, speaking of soft spots, my soft spot's in my head. No,
it never did heal from
never
birth.
Did heal.
It?
No.
We call it Harm's reset button. If we push on it, his eyes roll back and he starts talking funny.
I'm not an android. No. I really enjoyed this. Thank you guys very much. Thank you for introducing this one to me. I carry this, but I've never actually opened a bottle. I think I brought this bottle to this evening. But I'd never opened a bottle. I didn't have time, and I'm glad we really opened it. We opened it tonight. I agree with every tasting note Bob had, the cherry and the vanilla, but the cocoa really hit me. It wasn't the sweet caramel that you expect. The baking spices are there. The cocoa just kept coming back even on the palate. I love the rye spice. The finish was long and mouth coating. This was heavy on the palate. You can tell this whiskey has age. It has weight. It's a beautiful whiskey. I drank it without water and with water, and I gave it a solid 4.
All right.
That's classified.
Brent, what'd you think?
Well, I really enjoyed it. It was. I agree with all those tasting notes you guys put out there, but I got some licorice with in mine as well. I taste a little. Yeah, I got a little bit of licorice, like a little black licorice.
Let's try you with a clean glass, my friend. Let's pour him another.
Let's pour me another. No.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
It's. I really want this to be a cask strength instead of
a foolproof.
But a foolproof.
I like the fact that they're doing the foolproof.
I love the fact, and I love the fact that we can talk about maybe next time we have a cask strength. And so
are you listening, Amy?
Oh, please,
are you listening?
Please, Sazerac, the gods of Sazerac.
With every one of these, I get that dryness on my tongue. With every single one of these 1792s.
I didn't get the dryness on these last two that I got on the first two.
I still get a little bit of it. I still get a little bit of it. But with that said and everything, I really enjoyed it, and I give it a solid 4.
That's classified.
All right, Maury, what'd you think?
Well, the thing that struck me the most is the mouthfeel. I thought it was really nice, really viscous, really lush on the palate. It really coated the mouth. I would agree with your initial comment, Bob, that I thought it was really my favorite offering of everything we've tasted this evening.
That's the first time anyone's ever agreed with
I know. I hate to agree with you. I just hate it.
Holy cow.
But
now I think you're obliged to marry him or something.
I think anybody can do a cask strength, and although I look forward to a single barrel cask
makes
strength,
my girlfriend.
I look forward forward to a single barrel cask strength, but I think they're unique in being 125 entry proof, and I think conceptually I like
125 entry and 125 exit. They're doing that, or not exit, but they're bottling.
Exactly, but I think that's a pretty cool concept to bring it back to entry level proof. I thought it was terrific. It was my favorite. It was balanced. It was lush. It was just delicious on the palate, and I'd like to see more. And as I said, whether they come out with a single barrel at full cask strength or not, this is as close as cask strength as they have right now. And I do love the cask strength. I agree with you, Bob. Allowing us to add a little bit of water to tone it down to our particular palate is really nice, and they haven't taken anything away from it. So with that, I give it a solid 4 sips.
All right.
Was that unanimous?
That's unanimous?
4. Four's around.
That almost never happens.
Yeah, that's a rarity for us.
Yeah, I everyone knows I'm a cask strength junkie, but really it's not that. So you're in college, and guys, when I was in college, were drinking Everclear when it was still 190 proof, trying to show that they were big burly men. It's not I need the higher proof. I do actually kind of enjoy higher proof on some whiskeys. On some whiskeys, I do the more Scottish thing, and I water it down to about 60 proof, and that's where I like it. But for me, it's the option of being able to try it any way that I want. If it comes to me at a higher proof or even a cask strength, one, I'm getting to try it the way that it came out of the barrel, the way that it was made, the way that if I was in that rickhouse in Kentucky, if I was in that warehouse in the hills of Scotland, if I took a whiskey thief and put it in or drilled a hole in that barrel, this is exactly how it tastes. So it gives you that opportunity, which is something that you don't always have. But it's not so much that I only want to drink it that way. It allows me, as the consumer, to be the guy who's in control of going, okay, that's how I want it. I wanted it at 138.5 or whatever. But maybe I don't. Maybe the next guy wants to be able to water it down to 110, or the next guy wants it down at 95, or the next guy wants to bring it down to 60 or 70. It gives you the option. And, that in and of itself is invaluable. That's why, with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society stuff, I love their products, because not only does it allow me to try a bunch of different distilleries.
All single casks.
But they're single casks, so you're trying, what's in that barrel that day, and you're getting it at cask strength, which puts you in control. It basically makes you the guy who's bottling it.
Some of you people are not ready for this. This is advanced. I'm just saying right now.
It allows
it's
you to do
foolproof,
it.
not foolproof.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Bob, but for me, more than anything, I've become a cask junkie myself, but I think that the nice thing is you're getting full flavor. When you're watering it down, you're not only diluting the proof, but sometimes you're really diluting the flavor.
Yeah, I disagree with you completely, Maury, especially with scotches. I tell people all the time, adding water adds flavor.
No. Adding water opens up the flavors.
Yeah.
But I find that the cask strength offerings are hands down better than anything else at traditional bottle proof.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm with Maury. It doesn't add flavor. I mean, water has no flavor. It doesn't add it. What it does is it enhances it, or it opens up flavors that may not have come forward.
That's right.
If the alcohol numbs your tongue, you're not tasting anything. You're wasting your money.
But once in a while, you'll get, sometimes adding water to a whiskey, and a lot of people don't like. Our producer is one guy who is not a guy who adds a lot of, he looks at me and
I don't make fun of Mike. I just point and laugh.
Yeah, he always laughs at us because we do try whiskey with water. But, the reason that we do is, well, you know what, we're prepared. We've got little eyedroppers and squeeze bottles so we can add it in very controlled amounts, because adding water to whiskey, more often than not, will open up some flavors that you didn't know were there, because there are esters and there are fusel oils and there are compounds in there that are alcohol
revealing
based,
layers of flavor that you do
and
not
some
get.
that are water based, and the water based ones will dissolve in water, and adding a little bit more water sometimes will actually open
But
up
you're not
things.
watering it down to 80 proof.
No.
Yeah.
You're adding a little bit of water to open up flavors.
And sometimes adding water will open up flavor, and sometimes adding water
Can
will
kill
just
it.
water down whiskey.
Yeah.
So that's why when I'm doing it very controlled. I mean, I've had some really amazing whiskeys, and especially single malts, and drank them sort of more in the Scottish style, where I water them down to 70 or even 60
This is why
proof.
I don't use ice, because you put the ice in them, you lose control.
The ice gives you the water, but it also you lose control in the fact because it's bringing down the temperature
Constantly
as well,
melting.
and that's the other problem. Yeah, and it's constantly melting, so it's constantly adding more water, so you never stop. I don't have a problem with cold whiskey per se, cool whiskey per se, but cold sort of shuts the flavor down, and constantly adding water is generally not a good thing. So it is what it is. What are you going to do?
We all disagree here. We're all going to argue, but you do what you want to do. Feel good, kids. You're a special rainbow.
He said doo-doo. And been waiting for an entire episode for him to say it. Said it.
I'm actually, no, what's the thing that the hippy-dippy people say? Oh, you're a snowflake. You're a snowflake. Add water, don't add water. Add ice, don't add ice.
I think somebody's had too much 1792.
I'm my own special snowflake.
Cut him off.
Well, what was everybody's thoughts on the range in general?
In general, I thought they did a nice job. I think the range is well balanced. I think they have a nice set of offerings. I think there's a little something for everybody, and I thought they did a very nice job.
Yeah, I agree. I think the range is good. For the price points, they hit everything. I'm just not a fan of their introductory level stuff. The last two, to me, you saw our reviews. Those are the port is my style with the sweetness and that foolproof. Hey, I think they've got a great gimmick there. Got a great gimmick.
What do you think, Brent?
Okay, I loved it. I love it. I mean, I love the bottle. The bottle's, the bottle's it's one of a kind. It's an Art Deco bottle, like I mentioned before. It's beautiful.
It looks really more like a cognac bottle.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
Maury hit it on the head. It absolutely looks like a cognac bottle.
Yeah.
It looks like a Cavassier or
an XO.
Yeah.
But I've been to the distillery a few times. I've been there, I think, 4 times, and I love going there. And each time they have a different product that you can sample and things, and I enjoyed it. One of the things that I love about going there is that you can get some other products and you can see some other products that they make. But one of the things, if you're ever in the gift shop, they make a chocolate bourbon cream. And I realize it's not 1792, but this chocolate bourbon cream, if you add it with a 50-50 mix with some cream soda, you will have everybody loving you with that.
I cannot get behind you on this, Brent.
Why? Why not? I mean, next time
dessert.
I bring some back every time I go
He's
up there.
correct, though.
And it is delicious.
Several
It's absolutely
distilleries
delicious.
have cream-based bourbon products.
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace being another one. Their bourbon
Buffalo
cream is
Trace
fabulous.
has the regular bourbon
I
cream,
would
and
tell
this
you,
one-
it's not. It's like Bailey's is. I swear, I think that stuff's
No, but
made out
it's-
of nuclear waste because you can open a bottle and not refrigerate it and come back 6 months later and still drinking.
that's
that.
correct.
This stuff you have
This
to
stuff's all
refrigerate.
natural, and
Yeah.
I've had it from there, and I've had the sister offering it to Buffalo Trace. It's not my everyday sort of thing.
I'm not against the whole bourbon
On
cream,
ice
or
cream,
rum cream.
It's the greatest
dessert.
thing in the world on ice cream.
Oh my God!
It's dessert.
Did you not listen to his whole statement?
And that's what Freddie at Buffalo Trace told me to do. Ice cream. That's what it is.
Ice cream.
Listen to Freddie.
I use it with cream soda.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
I give it to
Or
anybody.
root beer.
So Yankee.
His whole, that was the point I was making. He took this beautiful chocolate cream that has been laced with bourbon, then he added cream soda to it.
Yeah, Yankee.
I like to add
I know.
root
This
beer
is a
to this.
defect of your soul, Brent.
I know
You're
but,
dead inside, man.
But it's
You're
great.
dead inside.
I mean,
Yeah, your
the
soul is
distillery-
hurt. Yeah,
I mean, it's great. It's great visiting the store. You get to see all the different products they make: the gin, the rum, the bourbon. You get to go into the rick houses. It's an excellent tour when you go.
yeah. The
there.
bottling line there is
Yeah.
fascinating because
Oh,
they
it's-
do bottling for a lot of other companies, and you'll see a lot of other stuff they're doing there, and it's very, very interesting.
It is. It is very interesting, and I mean, I encourage everybody to go and visit. Even though it's not on the trail, it's a place you have to go. You don't want to miss this one. So. And take advantage of their offerings that they have there, even if it's chocolate, bourbon, cream.
It's on the list. I'm not going to put any freaking ginger ale or whatever. You just said
great
cream
place.
soda in it. It's not happening.
Ale 81? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
It's a great place to visit while you're waiting for the tour at Willett coming out of Heaven Hill.
Well, I think it's pretty unanimous. Everybody was really happy with the line. Great products, really nice distillery, nice people. I can't say enough about them. I just hope they keep doing the foolproof. That's all I can say. And please do a barrel strength one.
And the bottles look pricey.
Yeah,
it's a very reasonable price for everything.
Impress your friends. They lie about the sweet wheat, but all right, guys. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can catch all of our episodes online as well on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and our Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sips, Suds, and Smokes on iTunes or the Google Play Store. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at Sip Suds Smokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening to us online, it's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Want to thank our co-host, Brent?
Oh, thanks. I can't wait to get out of this basement.
Maury?
Is it daylight yet?
No. And Harmeet?
Can I spend the night? My wife doesn't want me back at 3 a.m.
All right. For Sip, Suds, and Smokes, this is Made Man Bob. And we thank you for joining us. Remember, life is too short to drink cheap whiskey.
Then don't drink it.
I won't.
You gotta see that old Crow review I posted. Why did it just say 1 minute ago? Did we finish a minute short?
Yep. Would somebody unlock the door and let me out of the basement?
I swear we should just stop drinking so much in advance of the show.
Let me have some more of that foolproof.
Again, not foolproof, Maury. Not foolproof.
No, not foolproof.
So delicious.
Oh, pour me another.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.